You know, the air's impressive. It's great when you're watching it. It also costs you time on the racetrack. You're fastest when you're moving those wheels and cutting that dirt out of your way.
Dan Patrick really wants it here in St. Louis. Let's check in with Dan Moriarty.
Executioner looked good at first, then kind of slacked off near the end, and you just took it home hard.
Well, when I went in the turn, I saw he was there. Then I found out later his fuel pump cavitated and he lost power. But like I said, you know, that was a tough one to get around.
You said earlier you're the first monster truck out on that course. Are the jitters gone now? Once you get the first race done, next round coming up?
A little bit. I watched, you know, all the trucks that I could. I still say it's a fast course, like I said earlier. And so I've got that out, kind of under my belt, but I'm going in a different lane. So, you know, we just have to see.
Truck's running well, though?
Yeah, I'm very content with it. You know, we'll just do it a round at a time, and we'll get somewhere.
May the best truck win.
That's what we're here for.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
A reminder that tonight's monster trucks all competing for a portion of the $100,000 Pace Motorsports Monster Jam Points Fund. We'll be back.
TNN Motor.
In St. Louis at the TWA Dome, Mike Hawkwood, Scott Douglas, and Dan Moriarty with you tonight for the World Finals of Monster Truck action. Nice crowd on hand, and they are excited. Now coming up, well, this is an underdog right here, Scott.
Jim Keller comes in the Avenger. Our first look at him on Motor Madness out of Columbus, Michigan, in the Chevrolet S10. Kohler of 572, so he's got a lot of cubic inch to work with, and you know it's as big as the Hemis that are running. But again, we'll get a look at him, kind of an unknown. When you talk about engines, you start with the Barefoot machine.
And how about Brian Womack? You know, the hometown favorite here. This is going to be an interesting story.
Well, Todd Frolick has been the main shoe behind the Barefoot team this year, but Womack has had a great year as well. And in his hometown, Barefoot needed a little change of luck. The team decided, let's go with Womack. Brian wants to prove that it was the right decision. He's off to a good start, and Avenger's in trouble.
Avenger is in trouble, and Womack is going to try to hold it straight and steady. If he does, he's going to advance here in round one. You see him taking his time there on that turn. He saw what has happened over the crushed cars to the finish line, and there it is. Brian Womack advances in round one.
Avenger got it going again, but something went away, lost power right in that first turn, and so Avenger will take an early exit from the 16-truck World Finals field here in the U.S. Hot Rod Association sanctioned action from St. Louis. Avenger will go ahead and finish the course and try and figure out what went wrong for the next time around the block. But, you know, Mike, as we look at Barefoot, remember one thing. Any place that you can go straight, Barefoot is going to have an advantage because nobody makes more horsepower than that team.
Yeah, the ground speed, when they do go straight, obviously is very, very important. We heard early in the show where some of the trucks have changed the gearing around a little bit just to be able to pick up some more horsepower and to be able to go just a little bit faster. But a nice run and a nice start for Womack and Barefoot.
All right, you got Sampson next round, but you're coming in here taking over for Mr. Froelich, who's been running this series for a while. How's Barefoot running?
Barefoot's running good, you know, and I got to really thank Todd for letting me come in here in my hometown to do this show. Sampson, he's a hard driver, you know. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat him out here. Hopefully I can get him in the corners here. We'll have to wait and see. We got the horsepower to get down the straightaways.
The thing about this is, though, Sampson, in this next round, is changing lanes from his first round run. That's got to play mind games.
Yeah, we kind of flipped a coin for it. I got the same lane I had first round, so hopefully it'll work to my advantage.
That's got to help. And also the hometown crowd. You talked about coming from here, Froelich saying, yeah, you know, go give it a run. You got to carry that Barefoot flag.
Yeah, definitely. I want the flag. You know, we want to come number one tonight and hopefully make Todd proud of us.
I think Todd will be proud of that run.
Well, we got a couple of upstarts in this one, and I think either one of these guys could shake a bracket up tonight. Brian Barthel and Little Tiger going up against the Mountaineer and Robbie Gray out of Ripon, West Virginia. Our first look at Robbie on Motor Madness, but has built quite a reputation running up and down the East Coast, and now here with us in St. Louis for the World Finals against a veteran competitor in Brian Barthel, who's been strong this year on turning courses.
Yeah, I was talking to Robbie before we got underway here, and he was really excited about being here in St. Louis and said, I plan to pull off a couple of upsets. We'll see what he can do here against Little Tiger. Pretty even off the start, almost dead even as they head down to the turn.
Boy, they are dead even. A great race. Now remember, good start for Mountaineer. Little Tiger's run against these guys before here on Motor Madness. As a matter of fact, he's made the Final Four a couple of times.
Little Tiger trying to take that turn a little too hard. Oh, Little Tiger goes over. Wow, what a tough break for Brian Barthel, and here comes Mountaineer to pull off the win in round one. Little Tiger just couldn't make that turn.
The U.S. Hot Rod officials quickly on the scene to make sure Brian's okay, and he's moving around in the cab right now. As anybody who's ever been in a vehicle flipped will tell you, the first thing is to safely get yourself unbuckled and be able to get out of the vehicle. Looks like Brian's okay, and indeed, he's coming out. Not sure what happened. We're going to get a look at it, Mike, in a minute on replay, but that thing just kind of bit in the turn and went over on it.
Well, it started out fine. As we said, they were both dead even as they began, and then they come around to the turn. And I think that Brian knew they were even as they headed back down to the final turn, and that he was really going to have to give a little something extra. And that little extra he gave was just too much. And over she goes.
I'll tell you, that is one of the stranger turns I've seen. There was just no indication he was going to go over.
You know, Brian, that was exciting to watch. It may not have been as exciting to be in the middle of it.
It was actually kind of exciting to ride it out. I mean, I was steering and trying to correct it, but it just wouldn't come back down. With a broken cylinder, it overextended one way.
What do you think happened in that corner? Because you were so tight, and you looked like you may have had that victory.
It broke the inside steering cylinder, and one cylinder won't hold the wheels, so they shot all the way the other way, and it just pulled it right over.
Right, the fact that you can't win a race and you get to go out like that, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm going to try and have it fixed for freestyle in a few minutes.
You just did your freestyle.
Well, I'm going to do it again.
Way to go, Brian.
Thanks.
Well, that explains it. Something broke on Little Tiger and gave Mountaineer the win.
Yeah, exactly, because I mentioned a moment ago, there was just no indication, and bang, over he goes. Now, Robbie Gray was hanging with Little Tiger, but it was going to be a tight race, and you can see Robbie kind of burping the turns, trying to get a feel for it in the Mountaineer. This turns out for him to be a very good situation, because now he gets a feel for the course before he goes to the next round.
So Robbie Gray, a newcomer here on Motor Madness Monster Jam, and he is impressive in his first run.
Robbie, first round down. How's the truck running?
Truck's running good. We're real happy with it. I'm going to try to set it down the first pass, which it only takes one to get you put out here. So the truck handled real good. I got into the first turn, not as good as I wanted to, but when I got into the tabletops down there, I got into that second turn. I happened to look over, and I seen Little Tiger going up on two wheels. So now I could just lift it and start to backpedal a little bit and just kind of carried my truck on through the other end because I knew he was in trouble. So, you know, I just kind of backpedaled a little bit to save my truck for the next round.
To be honest, is it a really bad way to win that way, or you'll just take it any way you get it?
Well, let's face it, it is a bad way to win anytime a guy has to get his truck tore up, regardless whose end it's on. But, you know, we'll take it and we'll go to the next round, even though we don't want him to have to, you know, go about that way. But next round, we'll just see what happens.
Well, Robbie Gray advances on. Little Tiger flips, but as we heard, might be back in freestyle. We'll be back with more Monster Trucks in a moment.
Shut up.
You're watching the World Finals of Monster Truck action from St. Louis, Missouri. King Crunch. Scott Stevens at the wheel, been in this business a long, long time. You can't count him out. Well, this guy knows how to run all kinds of courses.
And another veteran is Jim Jack in the Reptoid out of Milton, Florida. So here are a couple of guys that we have seen here on Motor Madness throughout the 1999 racing season who have been able to spring some upsets. Neither of them has been able to get that big win here, but you know, you can't even get to the Final Four of the finals until you can come up with a first-round win. They both want this one bad, and they both think they can win this race.
All right, and they are underway here. And as through the first turn, a little bit of trouble. Trouble for Scott Stevens. Had to actually back that truck up. Did not make the turn. That is going to kill him. And here comes Reptoid around. Knows all he's got to do now is run smooth. Oh, man, he just saw it. We were in the background there. The wheel came off. I saw that wheel rolling off. Scott Stevens had problems from the get-go in this thing.
This is not a run that's going to end up on Scott Stevens' highlight reel, except for what can happen in a monster truck. First of all, he misses the turn. You can see right there, if he takes that sonotube out, that way they're going to DQ him because he was going to maul it rather than just kind of bump the thing. Now as he comes around, he corrects it, and let's watch what happens, because all of a sudden when he hits the wheel, wow, it just busted on him.
Well, it just broke there, and we were focused in on Reptoid, our cameras were, and you saw there on the ISO that just